Welcome, viewers. Have you ever heard of searing the tongue as proof of virginity? In some parts of the world, in Islam, women have been subjected to so-called virginity tests involving physical ordeals, including contact with red-hot metal. The premise is simple. If the woman is innocent, she will be protected. If she is guilty, she will be harmed. And the problem is that the entire premise collapses under the weight of reality. The tongue exposed to a sufficiently hot iron will burn because of heat, moisture, contact, time, and human biology. It cannot reveal sexual history. It cannot reveal morality. It cannot reveal truth. Burned flesh proves exposure to heat, nothing more. Yet when suffering is elevated above evidence, terror begins to replace justice. The woman's no longer treated as a human being possessing dignity and rights. She becomes the subject of an ordeal designed to enforce fear, submission, and conformity. In this episode, what happens? We're going to see and examine what happens when pain becomes proof, when fear becomes authority, and when ideology grants moral legitimacy to practices that cannot establish truth, but can inflict lasting physical and psychological harm. The catastrophic moral consequences of these Islamic ideological radical systems that replace evidence with ordeal and justice with intimidation. It examines how impossible tests, public humiliation, and physical suffering can become tools of ideological enforcement. It also investigates the deeper danger that emerges when cruelty is justified through religious certainty, transforming victims into suspects and fear into a mechanism of social control. At its heart lies a simple question. What happens to a civilization, an Islamic civilization, when burned flesh is accepted as evidence, despite the fact that the ordeal itself obviously proves absolutely nothing?
طلع لسانك بص كده دماغك بس كده جسمه زي ما هو طلع لسانك طلع لا تبي ترفيني ارميه بره خالص
اغمض انا عايزه حاجه فعلا يعني بس انا
طلع لسانك
لا والله مش
طلع لسانك بره ما تديش لسانك على اسنانك طلع لسانك طلع لسانك انت عندك تحت وبطنك يا حاج كم واحده بس طلع لسانك يا حاج تليفونك ما تخافيش طلع لسانك طلع لسانك بره طلع لسانك ماشي دعوه ايوه امال انت خايفه من ايه يا بنتي؟ على طول انت اللي جنبك بكره على طول انا مين اللي كاتب شهاده عليه؟ انا بس على طول صلي على الحبيب انت معاك برا خالص مين طلع ثاني برا وانت برا برا
يا رب
برا برا أما كنت حاجة من إيه ما كنت حاجة من إيه
Viewers, the ultimate tragedy is not merely that innocent people suffer. It is that suffering is mistaken for truth. A hot iron cannot determine virginity. It cannot determine innocence. It cannot determine guilt. It can only burn human flesh. And when a society, an Islamic society, abandons evidence and embraces pain as a pathway to judgment, justice has already collapsed. And the result is not moral order, but moral inversion, where fear masquerades as righteousness, cruelty disguises itself as virtue, and human dignity is sacrificed to preserve an ideology. A civilization reaches a dangerous threshold when the protection of the innocent becomes less important than the preservation of a belief system. And at that point, the ordeal no longer reveals the accused. It reveals the bankruptcy of that part of the Islamic ideology system itself.